Hi, this is Mark, and today we're taking a look at the LG G-Tab 3 8.0. This tablet came out a couple of years ago, but is starting to pop up on eBay and Craigslist for a very affordable price, and I picked up one a couple of weeks ago. This is a high-resolution 16GB tablet running Android 7.0. It may ship with Android 6, but does have an OTA to Android 7.0. The date on the ROM is December 1st, 2016, so it's about a year or more old, but it still works just fine. The tablet is, in this case, the model is the V522, so this is the Canadian LTE version. As I said, I picked it up used for about $90. It comes pre-installed with an LG ROM that sits over top of standard Android, so this one is also not rootable, and the bootloader is locked and no one has come up with a way to unlock it. So you are stuck with the V522 model on the LG ROM. Taking a look at the physical characteristics, it's mostly screen with very narrow bezels. It does have an auto rotation, obviously, like any other tablet. And we'll take a quick look at the screen, because that's really the reason you'd probably buy this tablet. If you look closely, I mean, we're zoomed in really, really close, and you can't see a lot of pixelization. So that's really a good-looking screen. In fact, I come from a Retina iPad mini. This is a replacement for that tablet. And to be honest, I can't really tell a big difference between the screens. Obviously, the Retina has more pixels, but this one is perfectly readable. It's great for video. It's good for reading. In fact, the slightly wider aspect ratio makes it very good for viewing websites or reading the news. So taking a look here, you can see the screen is just a little bit wider than some other standard Android tablets. It's nice and smooth. It operates quite well in Chrome and Firefox. And it's a very, very good media consumption device. I'm going to keep it in landscape mode for the video just so you can see more of it. All right, let's take a look at the ports and what's available on this tablet. So on the left-hand side, there's nothing. On the bottom, you've got some speakers. I think they're mono, not stereo. They don't sound very good. I'd give a demo, but they're a bit tinny and low volume. Nothing like an iPad, but they do work just fine. There's a micro USB port for charging and sync, and then on the side you've got a couple of buttons. You have a standard power and volume rocker, and then one extra button that is configurable in the settings, but I'll show you right now. The LG option is to flip it between comfort view and standard view. Typically comfort view is used to lower the blue and turn it more into an e-reader. On the top, you've got a couple of interesting features here. You have a headphone jack, which is always nice, and then there is a cover for a full-size USB port. So this means you can take a USB thumb drive of any size, plug it in, and transfer files directly onto the tablet itself or onto a micro SD card that is inside the tablet. So on the side, there's also a slot for a micro SD card as well as an LTE SIM card. And one more feature on the top, and I apologize for jumping around here. You may not be able to see it, but there's a microphone as well as an IR blaster. So this tablet can be used as a universal remote of your TV or cable box. The feel of the tablet, it's relatively light. I think it's actually lighter than an iPad mini. It's very thin. It feels good in your hand. And on the back, it has a pretty nice, very soft, textured plastic back. It feels a bit rubbery. It's, it's a very high-end feel. It's put together well, it doesn't creak, it doesn't make any noise, and I haven't had any trouble with flexing or anything like that. The screen does, if you push against the screen, you do get some, you can see some color distortion and light distortion. But overall, the hardware of the tablet is excellent so far, very comparable to an iPad or high-end Android tablet, even though it's a very cheap one. Certainly not as good as an iPad, it doesn't have that metal back, but as far as cheap tablets go, this is one of the best I've used. All right, just for kicks, let's take a look at some of the pre-installed software. You get all the Google apps that you would expect pre-installed. You can't take them off. The Play Store, an LG Contacts app. If you have the LTE version, you'll get a messaging app. Comes pre-installed with a bunch of Microsoft apps, which also you cannot remove, so they're taking up almost a gigabyte of space. Some management apps, including an LG Backup app that I honestly have never used. Haven't used the battery saver or memory options either. but you can't get rid of them, so they're there no matter what you do. You can, of course, move them around. The LG home screen is not terrible. It has a nice AccuWeather widget, and it comes with the Google search bar. Chrome, obviously, is also installed, and it comes with a mail app as well as a calendar app on the other screen. You get a quick remote app, which will turn this into a universal remote, and access to something called LG Smart World, which, to be perfectly honest, I don't understand. It seems like a place to download backgrounds and themes. I tried it once or twice, and I didn't really understand the point. A nice calendar app, but not really different from any other Google app, tasks, and a few other things. The LG tablet also comes with a music app and Evernote pre-installed, the standard gallery app, and something called QPair, which I also don't really know what it is. One useful app is the File Manager app, which does work quite well. It's a drag and drop file manager. So if you have your SD card and your USB card, you can drag files from the USB to the SD or any place else around in the file system. It's not super intuitive, but it works pretty well, so it's nice to have it pre-installed. Finally, you may have noticed that on the LG home screen there is no app drawer. There are actually two versions of the home screen that ship with the tablet itself. One has an app drawer and one doesn't. So in the non-app drawer version, all of your apps are always on one of your home screen pages. And on the one that does have an app drawer, there are no pages. You can't scroll back and forth, which means you can't have a page for widgets. So it's a little interesting. I personally wish that there were both, but you can install the standard Google launcher or the Google Now launcher and use that instead. So it really, you're not locked into this LG look and feel. But to be honest, I actually use the LG app drawer home screen myself because it feels more like what I'm used to. All right, finally, let's take a quick look at the settings that are available. So they're pretty standard. In fact, the only really interesting things are that under display, you do have the option to set one of the two home screens. In fact, I've only got one of them loaded up. I got to download the other one from LG. It comes with some wallpapers, and you do have this option to do the quick memo panel. So you get an additional home screen. If you swipe left in this home screen, you go to Quick Memo, which is the LG installed memo app, and it looks like it has pen support. I don't have a stylus, so it doesn't really help me out at all. Again, going back into settings. So one thing that is interesting in the settings is you do have the option of setting night brightness between 12 and 6 a.m. That is not configurable, so you can't change when it would switch to night brightness, and all that is that it lowers the brightness. It doesn't do anything like flux or the Apple nighttime mode that would change the colors to make them less blue. Comfort View does do that, so Comfort View will change the color tone of the screen to make it more yellow and less blue. However, Comfort View you cannot schedule. So for whatever reason, they made it very difficult to make this thing usable at night because it does not have a light sensor. It only has a camera. So the tablet will always be at high brightness unless you manually change it. But you do have the option to set the button at the top does turn on and turn off Comfort View, so at least that way it can lower the intensity. And you have a cool thing here where you can change some of the home touch buttons. If you wanted to move around the buttons, you can change the orientation. So you can put the back button on this side, or you can put it back over where it was. You can add a notification drop down, so this would pull down the notification menu, which is interesting. And then you can also have quick buttons for the screen capture and Q slide. Interesting. I played around with it and then put it all back to normal. And then finally, you can set the quick button to any button. So this button at the top can be set to any app on the tablet. You can set it to be the calculator, for instance. So now when I hit the quick button, I get the calculator. Fantastic, exciting stuff. So the LG ROM is not terrible, but it's not great. I wish it was just standard vanilla Android, but you take what you can get for a sub-$100 tablet. All right, so there you have it, the LG G-Tab 3 8.0. This Canadian version is very inexpensive. It works very well. It's a really good media consumption device, perfect for watching movies, reading the news, or pretty much anything you would do with light tablet usage. For me, it's a replacement for an iPad mini Retina that was damaged and I needed a quick replacement, and this has turned out to be a new favorite tablet of mine. One thing that you should keep in mind is that it only has a camera on the front and it does not have, or a camera on the front and the back, but it does not have a light sensor or proximity sensor. So if you want to have the screen auto dim or anything like that, you're going to need to download an app called Lux. I don't have it installed right now, but look for Lux Auto Brightness, and you'll have to use the paid version to use the camera to set the auto brightness. I use it regularly, and it does work very well. So take a look at that, and if you're looking for a cheap tablet, this is a good way to go. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Mark.